unlike anything that the gurus tell you about how awesome they were as a little kid, that they, I don't know, that they were that were fucking millionaires before they were even born or something. Like, this is the image they're trying to convey. I was nothing like it. And so I want to share with you like a little story with me about like about my childhood, because I want you to understand that it doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your background, doesn't matter what happened to you when you were a kid, it doesn't matter like if your parents were abusive, it doesn't matter if you got bullied at school, it doesn't matter if no fucking girl paid attention to you when you were a kid, or if you were a girl, boy, whatever, and you weren't getting any attention, and you felt worthless, you felt like you weren't worth anything, you felt helpless, and you felt hopeless. And I want to share with you that it doesn't matter where you come from, because probably you didn't have a worse thing than me. You probably you didn't got dealt with worse cards than me, and that's what I want to share with you today. So first of all, when I was a little kid, I was never good at anything. Like, literally never good at anything. Picture the worst student you can even imagine in your school. That was me. Now, it wasn't that I was the worst student in classes and in math, for example. I was good at that. When I say I was the worst, I mean nobody gave me attention. I was the worst at sports. It was like, do you remember this little kid on the sidelines, at the back of the class? Like, that was me. That was me. I sucked at sports. I was good picked last. Nobody ever gave me any opportunities. Nobody even talked to me. Like, literally, people barely talked to me. I remember there was just one kid that used to talk to me, who had like a few other friends, and that's how I got some friends. If it wasn't for that one kid, then I would be fucking alone, on the sidelines, just like I was. And every time he was missing from school, bro, every time he was skipping school, I felt so alone. It was garbage. It was garbage. I was a video game junkie, just like most students, just like most kids back in the day. I'm talking as if I was like a kid 5 decades ago, but get the point. I was like a video game junkie. I was playing Minecraft. I was playing Fortnite, League of Legends. And I remember all the time I didn't do my homework so I can play video games. And then I got grounded because I wasn't doing my homework. And then what I did is, because I was grounded and I couldn't play, like my parents didn't give me permission to play, what I did is I was waking up in the middle of the night so I can play. And because I have this little Razer keyboard, and it has these weird sounds, they were hearing the keyboard, they were waking up, and they were coming in and closing my computer and plugging off my computer. And I was even more grounded. That was insane. And not only that, not only was I a video game junkie, not only was I not getting any attention, I wasn't getting any attention from girls. And you know how bad that could be for a little kid. When you are a kid, you see everybody else, every other guy talking to girls, every other guy going out with girls, having girlfriends. And I was the type of guy who not only didn't have any male friends, I didn't have any girlfriends. Not only in a sexual way, but in any way. I wasn't speaking to any girls. Every time a girl was speaking to me, I was like, I was losing it, bro. I was losing it. And all of this to say that all of that shit that happened to me as a young kid created this loser identity in my subconscious. And it's the one thing that usually copywriters struggle with, and it prevents them from taking the right action. Because when you view yourself as a loser, kind of subconsciously, when you have a loser identity, you don't allow yourself to take the right action so you can get those clients. And I made this mistake a lot. And it wasn't like a mistake, but this is what happened to me a lot. I had this victim mentality, this loser identity, and so my subconscious was preventing me from taking the right action to take the clients. And it wasn't until I built myself this winner's identity that I started winning. Like, I started crushing it in sports, I started crushing it in dating, I started crushing it in copywriting, and with everything I do in my life. Like, at this point, I believe that nobody can beat me. Nobody can take away what I've been doing. I can beat anybody in a fight. I can beat anybody, any copywriter, any marketer. Like, I can beat everybody. There's no second guessing about that. No second guessing. And so I want you to think, and I want you to tell yourself, and I want you to start changing the way you view yourself. Because if I could do it after getting bullied, after all of this happened to me, then you can do it. Like maybe you've gotten bullied as well, and it's like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you stick to the past, and if you keep thinking about the past, then you're not gonna go very far. Because when you think about the past, you don't allow yourself to grow. And something I had a coaching call with one identity coach who was like, I hired him from the coaching group, my mentorship, and he was telling us stuff like, the one thing you need to do is you need to forgive. I don't know what he said. I don't know what you need to forgive, but you gotta forgive something. And that could be people who bullied you when you were a kid, like ex-girlfriends, ex-boyfriends who did you wrong, for example, and you want to get revenge on them. These are some other people you gotta forgive. Like at this point, I don't have any bad intentions about anyone, except my opponents in fighting. I want to crush them. Like this is something I thought about. And so then not only was I getting bullied at school, this is something I actually haven't shared with anyone in my real life. Like literally I haven't shared it with anyone, maybe one person. So I was getting bullied there, and then I went to the army, and because I had this loser identity, because I wasn't very confident about myself, I didn't have the boundaries, what ended up happening was I still got bullied when I was in the army too. Even though I was a fighter, and even though I could beat them up. Because I didn't have the confidence, and I still saw myself as a loser subconsciously. And so with your subconscious, it wants to keep you safe. All your subconscious does, whatever it does. For example, your loser identity, everything it does, when it prevents you from taking the right action, prevents you from doing the work, it prevents you from doing this, it prevents you from succeeding. Everything it does so for you to be safe. Because your subconscious doesn't want to die. That's what your subconscious does want to do. It wants to keep you safe. And so, for example, in my case, when I was in the army and I was getting bullied, my subconscious was keeping me as a small person. Small person doesn't get much attention, doesn't cause any trouble. So I don't keep getting bullied. Like this thing that, for example, you see kids getting picked on all the time. Their survival instinct is to not do anything, to be a small object in the room. That's the subconscious trying to protect them. And that's what basically happened. That was my little story. Then I went to college, and I realized it wasn't for me. And so because it wasn't for me, I was like, I gotta start, fucking stop calling me. I gotta start making money, because I go to the college and I'm like, this isn't for me, bro. This isn't for me. I'm not gonna spend all this time here hearing all this bullshit, learning from people who've never done the thing that they're teaching. And it's like, no. I wish yesterday I was watching some videos from when I was in college. Like I remember being in college and I was seeing the last video I recorded from college. Now this is in Greek, so I can't share with you. You're not gonna understand. If you're Greek, by the way, text me and I'm gonna send you the video. And it was me like telling stuff like, look at these losers. I was saying all this in Greek. Look at all these losers. I was at the back of the seat in a class, my last day of college, and I was like recording everybody with my little phone. I was like, look at all these losers, the Matrix. This is what the stuff I was telling them. It was so fun, man. Like when I saw this, I felt this melancholy. Like I don't know if this is the word, but I hope you understand. I felt, bro, we went so far ahead. We crushed it in the last 2 years. And so all it takes, from what I've realized, all it takes is 1 year. It doesn't matter what you've been through in the past. Your past experiences don't matter. It doesn't matter if you have any marketing experience. It doesn't matter your age, your background. None of that matters. Because as you saw, I had the worst fucking idea about myself. And now I don't. And now that I changed my beliefs and my identity, now you can't stop me. You literally cannot stop me right now. And so that's the mindset I want you to have. But the only way for you to have it is for you to act like your past mindset doesn't exist, remove your past identity, and then you're going to keep crushing it. And the only way for you to do that is by winning. That's what I found. And if you, of course, if you're in the beginning, you're not going to win. and you're not gonna win as much or as often, or you're not gonna take the type of wins you want to. You're not gonna land a 5K month client next day, probably. So what you gotta do is you gotta find another way to win. For me, the thing that helped me crush it is the fighting one, and it's also it's the fighting, and it's also me just viewing everything that happens to me as a win. For example, the other day I was running, and every time I was about to pass the road, and it was a traffic light, and it was green. Every time it was green, I viewed it, I translated it to my subconscious as that the universe and God wants me to win. This is what I told myself. And it was like, you gotta start viewing everything that happens to you as a win. Like, even if it's a loss, you gotta start viewing it as a win. There's always a way for you to translate something into something else. There's always a way for you to do that. And once you start doing it, that's when you start building that winner identity. And that's what I want for you. So yeah, I hope you got some value from this. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, share, post on your stories, share this with your grandma, and I'll see you soon.